The Lost World Jurassic Park is directed by Steven Spielberg and stars Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, and Vince Vaughn, and is the sequel to the incredibly successful Jurassic Park. Now, if you're not following me on Facebook and Twitter, you would not have seen that I said I wanted to cover the remaining Jurassic Park films before Jurassic World comes out next month. I already reviewed Jurassic Park when the 3D re-release happened. You can watch that review. It's been on my channel for a couple years now. So I'd like to cover the last two that I've never talked about, The Lost World Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3, which is coming up very soon. And just as a warning, if you've never seen Lost World, there's going to be some spoilers throughout this review. I would suggest checking out the movie and then coming back and watching my review then. So the filmmakers had a bit of a challenge with this movie. How do you get these characters back to a place that's so horrible? Once they leave, they're not going to go back for any specific reason, just to hang out with some dinosaurs that almost killed them last time. But I think they devised the best possible way. See, Hammond wants people to go in there and do some research about these dinosaurs because InGen is trying to take control of that company away from Hammond. One of the people sent just so happens to be Jeff Goldblum's girlfriend, played by Julianne Moore. So himself, two others, and his stowaway daughter end up on this island in search for Sarah, and once they eventually find her, of course, dinosaurs start eating people. Now, when I grew up, I loved this movie. I thought it was so great. I never understood why people never really liked this one. I never understood the hate that it got. I rewatched the movie today, and I still don't understand why people don't like it, and I still don't understand why it gets hate, because I actually think this is a great movie. Let me explain before you might get upset, because a lot of people don't enjoy The Lost World. It's a bit of an unpopular opinion on my part, and I have a lot of defenses for why I feel this way. For one, I think it's unfairly compared to Jurassic Park a lot. I think people went into this movie expecting the exact same type of movie again, but Spielberg actually made a huge effort to make a very different movie, a completely different movie. He did the very same thing with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. A lot of people did not like that movie at first for quite some time. It got a lot of hate because it was too dark. It was too different from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I actually love Temple of Doom. I love how it's different. I love how he actually made a unique movie that wasn't just another Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he did it again with The Lost World, and it's one of my favorite parts about this film. It's actually a very different movie from its first movie, and not for any particular reason that you can easily identify. It still carries the same themes as the first film. Man interfering with nature. Not good. Just leave it alone. If we leave nature alone, allow nature to take its course, nature then can survive and flourish, and things won't all go to hell as long as men isn't interfering. Those are the themes of Jurassic Park. And they're all prevalent throughout The Lost World. You have the InGen army on the island trying to take some of these dinosaurs back to San Diego to create a zoo. You see all the trouble that causes. And then you have our main group of heroes who are just trying to survive. The themes of the film are very similar to the first one, but the difference here is the entire structure of the movie. The first film was about this incredible, awe-inspiring idea of people discovering this area in which you could view dinosaurs. Almost every scene had a mouth-dropping, just wonder-inducing moment. This movie was more about exploring Ian Malcolm's character, his relationship with Sarah Harding, played by Julianne Moore, who's excellent in this movie, and the fact that he's seen all of this before. It was one of my favorite things about this movie. As I rewatched it, Ian Malcolm is constantly interacting with people going, oh, ooh, ah, yes, oh, yes, that's how it starts. And then later there's running and screaming and Is it as good as the first Jurassic Park? No, it's not, but it's a very different movie, and I respect it for that. It does have its problems, and I'll get into that soon, but the things I love about this movie are that it maintains such a great feeling of adventure and suspense throughout almost its entire runtime. Spielberg, as always, proves himself a master crafter behind the camera. In almost every scene, he gets these incredible long takes, like for instance a scene in which Eddie is trying to tie the trailer to this tree stump. We go in a tracking shot from the tree stump following Eddie into the trailer and then over the cliff into the other trailer, and you see our characters below all in one shot. And the idea of setting all of this up is just mind-boggling, and he continues to have shots like that throughout the movie, which also support that reputation that Spielberg has developed for himself for finishing ahead of schedule, because he gets so much in one shot. He creates these incredible scenes and does things that a lot of filmmakers might do 7 or 8 setups in one take. and it's fantastic. It's great to watch. Just one of the opening shots alone, you see a guy walking on a beach. You think you're following this person. Then we rack focus to a bottle of wine. No, that's not what we're following. We're actually following this family. We're seeing this family lounging on a beach. No, we're actually following the little girl who has a sandwich. Spielberg does these amazing things with the camera throughout the whole movie, and it always keeps you second guessing in a movie about dinosaurs on an island. Something that used to be a B-movie claymation in the 1930s and 40s. Also, this movie has one of my favorite cuts in cinema of all time. It's near the very beginning. You see the mother reacting to her daughter being eaten alive by these compies. She screams, and we cut directly to a sound of a subway screeching to a halt and Jeff Goldblum yawning. Behind him is this thing that looks like he's on some island somewhere, but no, actually we pan with him and we're in a subway station. It's one of my favorite cuts in cinema. Scream to yawn, you think you're on a beach, nope, you're in a subway. It's just this type of filmmaking that no other director out there puts that much thought into. And of course, you never feel like you're on a set. You constantly feel like you're in a real environment on a real island with real gigantic crowds of people moving along this forest with the ocean in the background, the waves breaking up on the rocks. All of these things that really lend to the idea of realism in this movie. And of course, just like in the first film, the animatronics and the creatures are mind-blowing, and by far the best one in this movie is the baby T-Rex, because it's held by Vince Vaughn. It's carried around. It's carried through a trailer. It looks like it's suffering. When I watched it with my wife, she was like, oh, the baby T-Rex, set its legs, set its legs. She was like worried about it because this robot was so convincing. And speaking of that trailer scene, for me, it might rival the scene in which the T-Rex is introduced in Jurassic Park, where the parent T-Rexes knock the trailer halfway over the cliff. We get that amazing suspense scene with Julianne Moore like on the glass, like, holy shit, don't move. It is fantastic suspense filmmaking, and I do not think this movie gets enough credit. Now let's talk about some of my issues with this movie, because yeah, there are some. The scene with the gymnastics, it's dumb, it's stupid, where Jeff Goldblum's daughter swings on the two bars and knocks the raptor out of the window. His joke at the end almost makes it work when he's like, the school cut you from the team? Like, it's funny, but the entire sequence, it's only about 15 seconds a movie, okay? It's not like Shia LaBeouf swinging from vines for like 3 minutes. It's about 15 seconds of a stupid part in a cool scene. The rest of the scene is awesome. It's totally badass with these raptors jumping everywhere. It's great stuff. That stupid moment is dumb and I don't like it, but it's very brief. My other issue is the San Diego sequence, but not the sequence itself, the getting to said sequence. It's so abrupt. It honestly feels like 20 minutes of scenes have been deleted. In fact, there are deleted scenes in which pterodactyls were supposed to attack the helicopter when the characters are getting off. It was like all storyboarded. They just decided to go with this San Diego thing, and it all felt very tacked on. It's great filmmaking. I mean, there's amazing special effects, great practical stuff. It's very funny, it's intense, it's exciting. It's all really well done. It's not that I have a problem with the way the sequence is handled. It's just the getting to it felt like such an abrupt shift from everything else. So I'm not really faulting the filmmaking, I'm just faulting the storytelling and getting to that scene, because it just felt like this extra addition, almost like a Blu-ray alternate ending that went on for a really long time. But it's still a lot of fun to see a T-Rex storming through San Diego, and I watched this movie today. This movie is almost 20 years old, almost. This movie's like 18 years old, and the effects are still magnificent. The final shot where you see the pterodactyl flying and landing on the branch and you have the T-Rexes and all the animals in the same area together, it looks beautiful. It looks better than some of the shots in the Jurassic World trailer. I mean, a lot of the shots in the Jurassic World trailer. Bottom line is, I've always really loved The Lost World. It has some problems. It's not quite as good as the first film, but I respect that it's a different movie. I love Jeff Goldblum in it. He's such an entertaining character. His arguments with Julianne Moore are so well written. I like Vince Vaughn in the movie quite a bit too. He's really good in this film. The San Diego sequence feels rushed and the gymnastics scene is dumb, but in all honesty, I don't have any other flaws with The Lost World. I think it's a fantastically fun movie. If you go into the movie knowing it's not going to be quite as good and a little bit different than the first film, similar to Temple of Doom, I can't see you not having fun with this film. I'm going to give The Lost World Jurassic Park an A-. I think it's really good filmmaking, and I just watched the movie today. I actually think this movie has gotten better with age. I do think it is a film that exists in a time period where we were judging it way too harshly because of that first film. I really think this movie has gotten better over time. If you're not a big fan of the movie, try rewatching it and just look at the filmmaking in it because it's handled so well. That being said, do yourself a favor and never play the Lost World game for PlayStation 1. I bought this and I played it today with my buddy after we watched this movie. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible. I hate it. So guys, I will be back very soon with my review of Jurassic Park 3 before Jurassic World next month. Thank you so much as always for watching, guys, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.